Okay, hope that reset the timer. But if it didn't, then I'll have to do something with that. But making this like second attempt at a video. I just need to kind of vent and get some things off my chest. And my last run, I think I've been trying to keep this stuff as like anonymous as possible. I mean, I know there are some folks who, really have followed my channel for a long time, who I've, had conversations with, and other mediums who, they know who I am, you know what I'm saying? But just trying to keep it as anonymous as possible. But anyways, so given that my usual facial expression and, tone of voice and all that usually is very monotone or sort of dead inside, I know it's not immediately obvious if I'm enraged or, frustrated or angry about things, but that's kind of the state of mind I'm in right now. There's been a lot of stuff happening over the last like 6 to 7 months. I've covered it in some other videos, but it's sort of like things have been starting to come to a head with the legal case, and it's been a matter of like a situation where it should have been one side versus the other, so to speak, but then on my side there's been always like sort of infighting and division. A lot of people fighting over money issues and claiming they have or don't have money for this, and claiming that they have dibs on certain cash that they really don't, and making promises and then breaking them, and flip-flopping, and sometimes acting like everything's super lackadaisical, and like looking at stuff through rose-tinted goggles, not wanting to see things for as they are, serious they are. Accusations of like me freaking out when I'm bringing actual legitimate concerns to people's attention, stuff like that. And of course, how they'll say that if you want to like see people's true colors, bring money into the mix, or bring property or wealth into the mix, or things of that nature. Kind of like if you want to see a person's real character, see how they treat people who can do nothing for them. Similar idea there, and I've been seeing a lot of that stuff come forward. And against the backdrop of this, there's been a lot of truths about like my dad's family being revealed, and who people really are, and sort of lies about the history and the lineage and expectations, double standards, injustices, all that kind of stuff coming forward, and it's led to a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing. I particularly have been involved in a lot of that. Sometimes I'll be honest, I've instigated it, because I've gotten this sort of impression apparently that, we can actually come forward and say how we really feel about things. But apparently that's a right that's only reserved for certain people. And if, some of us come forward and say things, oh, that's too much, or, you're pushing the envelope in the wrong direction, you're going to cause all sorts of havoc and chaos and death and destruction, that's what will be thrown at me, and others who aren't apparently entitled to expressing themselves, even though the people who are doing the accusations are the ones who have caused that very same chaos, multiple occasions, so dealing with a whole lot of hypocrisy, essentially. But like me confronting my dad about stuff that has been he's done to me over the years. Me confronting my sister about her decisions and behaviors, things of that nature. Or my sister getting very like money hungry, because she'll get like a life insurance payout, and then it's like, oh, I don't want to spend this on anything, even legal fees, that's your job, I just want to keep this money, but you have to spend all this, you have to go take care of all these bills, that's your thing. Or there's the case of, obviously, like I think I've talked about in past videos how I'm taking these classes, and I'm nearly at the point where like the repairing my GPA, repairing my academic record, that phase is nearly over, and I could apply for admission this fall, or I could even wait till next fall, because I'd have all the prerequisites knocked out and it wouldn't be too much of a delay. And I could do that. I'm almost at that point. And at the same time, I'm being told that, I gotta drop out of my classes. Um, I have to get a job regardless of whether this thing is going on or not. Obviously, you gotta support yourself. At least, in my case, my sister doesn't have to because there's daddy daycare there, and she's apparently entitled to all his money and all his wealth and all his income and his care and all these things that she's just entitled to because reasons. Even though she's, I mean, I can go into her whole life story where, she's basically done nothing. She washed out of college after spending all his retirement funds. He had like 20,000 at that point, that was what was that, 16 years ago. And since then she's done nothing. She brought a bunch of health problems onto herself by living a very loose life, let's just say, which she doesn't want to admit to daddy's face, because daddy will get mad once he realizes how much he's been bamboozled. But at the same time, I think that he's such a spineless coward. He's always been like that when it comes to them. That he'll brush it off because he just, I don't know. And the fact that I've had to confront the results of being raised in a very toxic environment with alcoholic narcissist for a mother who, I don't know. It's weird because, like, I know that my mom loved me, and I know that I love my mom and I miss her, but those two words, alcoholic and narcissist, or at least having narcissistic traits, maybe being BPD, maybe that would be more accurate, label. Those are true. And then having this, spineless, enabling coward of a father who, when it came to me, he'd have his foot buried in my, my ass, if I effed around. But when it came to my sister, it was, let her do whatever she wants to do. She can lash out at family members. She can physically assault them. She can cause him to have a stroke. She can spend all his retirement funds. She can leech off of him into her mid-30s. She can do all these things, cause all these problems. I mean, they had to call the cops on her multiple times over the years, 5150 as they call it, to have her removed from the premises because she was threatening my mother and my father. She apparently can do that. But if I have concerns or I get like anxious about something a little too much, now it's a problem, And recently, because of another court case he was involved in, because of it was like he was unfairly terminated from his last position. And he was, from everything I've heard, he was in the right on that. And these lawyers determined that he was in the right. They went to bat for him. The company had to settle out of court with him, giving him money basically so that he wouldn't take, take them to, bring a lawsuit against them, take them to court. And he's supposed to get this windfall of cash, which, okay, great for him. I'm not, like, if he wanted to use that for his own bills, the actual bills that he actually has, that's his money. But he goes and calls me up and tells me, don't worry about the house, out east, grandparents' house that's being fought over. Worst comes to worst, we'll just buy it up, making those kind of claims. And then I'm like still thinking, okay, that's great to hear. I'm still looking for a job. That's not stopping. I'm not, going to just stop applying, stop interviewing, that sort of thing. I'm still going for that regardless. I mean, even if it was just a matter of just trying to keep myself sane, I'd be going for that job, regardless. But obviously I need money to pay for rent. I need money to pay for food. I gotta pay off my credit cards yet again because I had to rack up some credit card debt, after unemployment ran out. Getting a job is just, that's default. That's default regardless. But he goes and makes that claim. My sister hears about the windfall of cash coming in. She has to call me up and tell me, well, dad's only getting 40% of that, and oh, by the way, I got medical bills, and there's other bills, so don't you be counting on that. And then like a day or two later, I'm driving home from my last lab class of the summer. I call him up and I just ask him, like, okay, like, I got these concerns. Can you just like tell me really what's going on with this? Because you call me up and tell me all this stuff about this money coming when which I wasn't betting on, which I'm not betting on, and you make these promises, and then I have my sister telling me she's got dibs on that. None of that's going towards any of this stuff. It's just going to be in the door, out the door, which I'm sorry to say, but that was the case with my mom. That was the case with my mom where, my dad could make 6 figures, but it was always like, we're behind on bills and we don't got money and, we don't have enough and spending $3,000 to like $4,000 or more per month on food that just got tossed out because nobody ate it, nobody asked for it, nobody needed it. And you do that math, that's at least $36,000 to $48,000 a month, if not more. Let's you could round up to probably $50,000 because there's probably even more that I'm not accounting for that got spent. And if you multiply that over 20 years, 2 years that'd be 100,000. 20, is 10 times that. So that's like what? Is that about $1 million? I think about $1 million wasted. And I think about like the fact that they could have had their house paid off. See, these are the things that like my dad doesn't consider. He'll go and turn on me and accuse me of being after his money. My sister will do the same. And it's like, Dad, I would much rather if I was sitting here and I heard that, hey, we just paid out the mortgage, or I just paid out the mortgage, the house is taken care of, that sort of thing. I'd be ecstatic with that. Because then I would know that, okay, my dad doesn't have that weighing down on him. And, the family doesn't have that weighing down on them. And nobody's going to be coming to me thinking that I got to support my sister after my dad passes away because she at least has a place to live, There's all of that. That would be taken care of, and the money that would have gotten freed up from that. And, all that could have been put in a savings account, high yield savings account, could have been put in a retirement account, list goes on. It would have been so freaking simple overnight. Bam, he would have been in he would have been living in a paradise. And the money that got spent on booze, the money that got spent on medical bills, if the things that were done which caused all this stuff to happen, which led to my mother's death, if that stuff hadn't been done, the money that would have been saved that would have gone towards other things. Like my mom would always go on and on and on about how her family history and the family homestead and all this stuff. And it's like, you find the address, you look it up, you realize it was on the market back in 2014, about 10 years ago, for like less than $50K, and it would have come with 40 acres of land. And if she wanted to have her luxurious, countryside getaway place that was in the family for 6 generations or something like that, like she could have had that. They could have had that. Lickety split, like that. Just snap your fingers and bam, they would have had that. But no, had to waste money on, in this case, they had the term man-made disaster. Well, this is a woman-made disaster, but, a man also contributed, so I guess you could call it a man-made disaster as well. And it's the same situation here where it's like, okay, let me get this straight. A little over a year ago, when my mom was dying from cancer, my sister decided to drink herself into a coma because she didn't want to deal with that. I didn't do that. I didn't go and drink. I was completely awake, completely aware, sober the whole time, as I've been basically all my life. I've really never drunk alcohol. I think I had that one time when I was a kid, when my mom offered me a glass or a cup of wine, and I think I remember spitting it out because it tasted like crap. I might have swallowed some of it and coughed it up or something, coughed most of it up, but that's like the most experience I had with, alcohol. So as far as what straight edge actually means, I've essentially been straight edge essentially all my life because I made the conscious decision to, and that was more of a being led into or being almost like groomed to become an alcoholic. And when I realized what was going on and what that all was about, I was like, no. So, I made that conscious decision, which is essentially why the straight edgeness, started very early on in my life, if not almost at the beginning or basically at the beginning. But, I didn't go and do that. I didn't go and drink myself into a coma. My sister went and did that. She nearly died from it, you know? And she luckily came back and didn't die. But she comes back from that, and now it's like, oh, I've got all these medical bills from these surgeries and this treatment and that treatment, and daddy's got to pay for that. Daddy's money's got to go towards that. No. You know, when he tells me it's his money, she tells me it's his money, and I'm like telling her, yeah, it's his money. It's not your money either. It's not your money either. If dad wanted to spend it on the house out east, he can go do that. If he wants to go use that to pay off like a tax lien, which he has from the IRS, he can go do that, because guess what? The IRS are the ones who locked up Al Capone. They can lock him up. If he wanted to go and, you know, replace his car, you know, get it repaired or get it replaced, he can go and do that. You know, he can go and do all these things with that if those are legitimate bills that are, and it's his money. But, you know, she right away jumps in, tries to lay claim to that, and then accuse me of trying to steal from him, that I'm trying to, that, oh, I'm just depending on, I'm expecting him to buy me a house. And it's like, you know, they really, I think this shows like how little they care about what I think genuinely matters. You know, that genuinely matters, you know, about this whole case. Just got a text from my dad. I'm gonna probably, oh, you know what? I need to finish up. But yeah, that's essentially what's been happening. And I got off the phone with the recruiter today for a couple jobs, getting put in for that, applying like mad. You know, I put in for like, I think 13 or 14 applications today. I'm wrapping it up yet again. I got a couple finals next week, like a lab final and an actual final for this physics class. And hoping to get a job as soon as I can, you know, for multiple reasons. But, you know, anyways, that's essentially what I've been dealing with, where, you know, my sister projects all her sins onto me, claiming that I'm going to give my dad a stroke, even though she gave him one, that I'm trying to take his money, even though she took his retirement funds and basically forced him to have to work past retirement. You know, list goes on. Of course, he'll probably blame me for a whole bunch of stuff and say it's all my fault for whatever reason, but, you know, I'm really mad about that. I've been talking to my uncle, you know, on and off about this stuff, because, you know, I've just been trying to get his sort of outside opinion and, you know, his rational picture on things and view on things. And I really appreciate his take on things, because it's, you know, it's kind of, as much as I'm frustrated and angry right now, it's also helped me calm the heck down, because he's sort of giving his, you know, picture on things. But anyways, it's day 113, and I think I'm gonna sign out now and, you know, maybe upload this. So, and if I want to do a part 2, then I can come back to that and do that later. But anyways, I guess that's it for right now. Okay, bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Thanks for taking time out of your day to hear me complain about my life. Okay, bye-bye.